Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Bitcoin. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to go over here is our downside potential here. And then we're also going to talk about that possibility that we could look to break to the upside with this move. So we're going to go over that downside potential. Effectively, what we are looking for in the bigger picture here is still looking for that potential to see another move down, looking towards this 0.382 here at this 28693 as a possible target. Now, there is a potential that we also could complete here and we could look to break away. Like I said, we're going to go over that as well. But what I'm looking for at the moment is more evidence that this is actually going to see this play out. So if we have a look at the two ways we were discussing this, we were talking about the potential that we could have either had this move complete into this low over here, and what we were looking for was either an A, B, and a C to the upside, in which case we were looking for this target here, typically of this A wave, which is the 30,389 to this 30,181 as a potential target. But now what we were wanting to see here would be a 5-wave move to the upside. So we haven't got that. All we have here is 3 waves. So what I'm just being mindful of is that this could still just be W, X, and Y, and then we still look to break to the downside. So some areas of interest is this zone that we're currently sitting within here. We could actually be looking to complete because we do just have a 3-wave move to the upside at the moment. So if we do look to reverse from this point and break down past this low over here, it would be indicating to me that this could potentially just be a WXY, and what we're looking for is that possibility of continuation to the downside here, looking for this 28649. Now this would be looking at this move just as a 3-wave structure into this low over here. So this is technically possible where we could just see this start to fall away here and look for a C wave to the downside, target being this 28649 as a potential zone that we would be looking for a reaction. Now, if we start to push up in a bigger way here, this would still not invalidate this idea. What we could still see is, because at the moment we just have 3 waves here, we could start to see something like this develop as a diagonal pattern, in which case what we could potentially still be looking within the same idea is for this higher target here, which would be this 30,441 all the way up here towards this 30,935, where if we do see something like this develop into either a standard 5-wave move, or alternatively we get something like this 1 2 3 4 5, potentially we could see then this developing as a flat correction here. Now the most common target area for flat would be between this 30,613 to this 30,837. That would be our 50% to our 0.382. So if we do see this actually develop to the upside here as a flat correction, then potentially these zones here, 30,745 and this 30,629, could be potentially interesting areas for us to see a reaction. Now, we do also have a weekly naked point of control that is currently sitting here towards the zone of this 30,574. So I would be keeping an eye on that as a possible target. This would also align with coming back to this channel. Now, it is technically possible that this move could look to push up a little bit higher, but once it starts to cross this 30,389, it becomes less likely that this is going to be a Y wave here, so it would be more likely that the other counters in place. So the other way we were looking at this is saying that we actually completed into this low. So what I'm looking out for here is that if we develop either a 5-wave move to the upside, or in fact just this 3-wave option, we could then potentially look for a retracement and then continuation up. Now the key thing within this area here is that we would be looking for the potential to come back into this channel and this rejection area here. Now the golden pocket is sitting quite nicely within this zone, this 30,982 to this 30,908. So we'll be keeping an eye on this level. If we see price do something like this and come back into this area, it could align with this idea of this being a bigger A, B, and a C to the downside. Now, if we did see a push up higher here, looking to grab some of this liquidity that is above these highs over here, so we could potentially still see this C wave to the downside being here at this 28,797, and then we could look for potential reaction from this lower area. So this is all looking for that possibility of coming back down here for that wave 2. So looking at the internals here, what I would be looking out for here on this idea that this is actually an A wave is looking at something like this as an A, this is a B, and a C, because at the moment we just have 3 waves to the upside here. Now, if we do look to form something like this, possibly what we could see is a retracement back into this zone of this 29,913 to this 29,683. in another 3-wave move, looking to hold this low ideally, and then seeing this continuation up in this C wave. Now we can see that the 1-to-1 of this C would not bring us into this top of this channel here. This would only bring us up towards this zone here of this 30,633. So going to be keeping an eye on this. If we do see price push to the upside, this would align with coming just past our 50% zone here. So going to be keeping an eye on this. This would look to sweep that weekly naked point of control as well if we do see a move up into this zone. Now, the other way we were talking about this is the potential that we could start to actually see a move to the upside. And that was fitting in with the idea that what we could see is something more along these lines here, where this move here is an A. This is actually our B wave here, and then we're looking for the C wave to the upside. So this is looking for the idea of something like a flat correction here. Now, some key levels for this would actually be this 1618, which would be back above this high. So if we do start to see bigger impulsive structure here develop to the upside, what we could then see is a move up past these levels, looking to sweep some of the liquidity that's up here, and then looking for that possibility of continuation to the downside afterwards. Now, this would just be saying that this whole move is becoming a bigger corrective structure, where we would have to say that this is A, B, and C, looking for something like a flat correction here or a WXY. But basically what we would just be having here is a bigger, more complex move here. That's just taking a bit more time, looking to, you know, get people bored with the market, sweep people out of it, and see what happens. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this idea here. If we are looking at this as a B, and a C, then this 1618 target is going to be very interesting to me higher up here towards the zone of this 31,853. Now, another way that this could still be looking to play out, and this would align with the idea that what we have is a 3-wave move over here, still looking to play out, would be this idea of still seeing this develop as a bigger flat correction here, where effectively we are going to see price do this A. This is going to be A wave. We got A, B, C, and then we're still going to see this C wave to the upside here. So this is still technically possible here. Even if we do look to reverse from this lower area here, if we get a 5-wave move up, we just need to be careful, because the only way we're going to get confirmation of this being a trending move is if we get 5 waves up, 3 waves down, hold this low, and then see that continuation afterwards. If we just get a 5-wave move to the upside here, I would be very cautious of the idea that we could still have rejection, in which case what we could look to potentially do off of this area here of this 1382, which is off of the lower range here, depending on how deep we come here, we could effectively change where this target area would be. But effectively what we'd be then be looking for is this idea that we get something like a flat correction here, looking to come back down and sweep the liquidity in these lows again before looking for that continuation to the upside. So if we are looking at that idea here that we could potentially see price look to move up in a bigger way, there were 2 ways that we were talking about it in the previous video. We were saying that what we could have is that this could just be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, where our wave 3 just didn't hit that 1.618, in which case this would then be our wave 2. But then what we'd need to see here for more confirmation is a move up towards this 30,890. We need to see this move up into this zone for confirmation that this is becoming 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, the key thing is if we do get a 5-wave move to the upside like this, we would need to be cautious, because this could technically still be something like this as a flat correction, but it would be an extended C wave if that's the case. My primary expectation, though, if we form something like this, is that we could actually see either a 3-wave move back to the upside here, where we get this as ABC, or alternatively this could start tying into that idea, that bigger bullish count that we've been following, where we're looking for a 1 and a 2 here. So gonna have to keep an eye on this. We haven't hit the confirmation zone of this, but it is technically possible we could start to move up into those zones as long as we continue to hold these key lows that we have. Now, the other way we could discuss this is saying that this is 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, the problem I have with looking at this in this way is the secondary wave 2 would be a lot bigger than the primary count wave 2. So because of this fact, it is already less likely. But effectively what this would mean is this would push down this 1618 slightly here, where this would be 1, 2. We'd be looking for 30,682. And if we do see a move up there where we get something like this as 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, Effectively, what we then could find is that this 30,368 could potentially turn into our fourth wave support, and then we'd be looking for this idea of this fifth wave to the upside into this 30,882 to this 30,759. Now, if we do see a move up into this level, we would then be anticipating an additional fourth and a fifth. And the same idea would apply with this move. If we are looking for continuation here, what we would then be looking for would be that this would become 1, 2, looking for a third, fourth, and a fifth to the upside, or alternatively A, B, and then C. If this move is going to start actually getting even more complex, where possibly we have this as W, X, and Y here for a B wave. So you're going to have to just be a little bit cautious with this one until the structure starts to clear. We need to be cautious of traps in this area. Having a look at the daily CPR, we can see that our daily central lines have actually moved up slightly here. We are still currently below this level over here, but we have actually moved up. So what I'm going to be keeping an eye on is this can be potentially an early sign of some bullish price action that's going to be coming into play. The key thing that I want to be watching here over the next couple of days is whether these lines continue to form higher than these previous two. If we do start to see these shifting to the upside, this could start to indicate that we could see that little bit more of a bullish move to the upside here. It doesn't mean that the trend is going to continue in the long term, because effectively we still do have some higher ones over here. So as long as we actually remain below these levels, effectively we still have a lower CPR line here, so that is a lower high on these CPRs, so need to just be on the lookout for that. But looking at today, what we are looking for is the fact we did come into these central lines here and we have reacted to the upside. So this is confirming at least the short-term bullish bias that these lines are indicating. Now, we do have targets to the upside sitting at this 30,381. We have this 30,570, and we have this area here, this 30,803 as possible targets for today. Now, price can always look to move through these, but these are just potential zones that price could look to pivot from. Now, this one would be quite interesting because this would be coming back into some of these highs over here. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this. If we do see price look to push up here, possibly what we could see as a rejection off some of these levels before looking for that continuation to the downside here. Now, if we do look to actually reverse down here and we lose these central lines, possible targets for today would be this 29,720, this 29,523, and this 29,293, as well as this 21,102. So we're going to be keeping an eye on these levels to see how we react around them. Potentially we could still look for this to continue to the upside here and continue to look to break out. You know, possibly what we could have is something along these lines where we have this as 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're looking for an additional fourth and a fifth. So this would be possibly looking to push us up towards some of these higher lines here, and then we'd have to see how we react from those points. Now, moving on to the weekly pivots, what we can see is that we are still currently below these CPR lines. Now, if we do see price move back to the upside here, I'm going to be keeping an eye on these as potential resistance: 30,438, 30,645, 30,848 as potential zones that we could look to see a reaction off of if we do continue to move up here. Now, if we do look to actually face rejection off of these, some potential downside targets that are still open are this 29,489, 28,740, which would align with that 0.382, and this 27,579 as possible targets for this week. Now, if we do look to upside targets here, what we do have is this zone here of this 31,391, if we can manage to reclaim these central CPR lines. And if we do look higher up here, we also have 32,543 and this 33,295 as potential targets for this week. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on these levels if we do see price start to move up into those zones. Now, we have actually come back into these yesterday, like we were talking about. Effectively, this top line is held. So we need to just be on the lookout here for that possibility of a break to the upside. Targets would be this R1 line here, this 32,994. We have 35,529. And this 39,635 for the period of this month. Now, we don't always have to hit these targets, so we need to just be aware of that. But if we do continue to hold this level, then possibly we could see some short-term price action to the upside. So this is going to be potential support again if we come back down into this level here, 29,688. We have bounced off this multiple times now, so we always need to be careful. The more times we bounce off of this, the less likely it is going to be a support Now, if we do actually push to the downside here, we could still find support here at this 28,910, 28,119, and that could be looking to retest some of our central lines over here. Now, if we do look to downside targets for this month, what we have is this 26,370. We have this 22,236 and this lower level here of this 19,738 as possible targets for this month. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find links to Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.